We have this innate tendency to want to witness manifestations of real moral goodness in the world. And so we go looking for something or someone that at least appears to have those pure and undefiled qualities. And then when we find them, we put them up on a pedestal. One example of this for me is past generations. It's really easy for me to romanticize European culture prior to the latter half of the 20th century. It has just enough of that sense of familiarity for me because it's my cultural heritage, but enough about it that is really distinct from any cultural context that I've ever experienced in my life. And so it's really easy for me to fall in love with a notion about it. And something like that process can produce in me a belief that these previous generations were this kind of incarnation of moral goodness that we're always searching for. Like, look at how well-dressed and how well-mannered everyone was back then. Look at the sophisticated literature and music that was commonplace compared to the stuff that's pervasive in popular culture today. Look at the beautiful art and architecture that they produced. I think that that's why we're so drawn to movies and TV shows and novels that were set in these previous time periods, stuff like Pride and Prejudice or Downton Abbey. And you can even whitewash the obvious blemishes like World Wars I and II with reveries about them as being these heroic adventures that produce gallantry and camaraderie to be envied. But if you actually pick up a history book that gives you the perspective, the full perspective of what life was really like back then, and the completely inadequate and irrational reasons for why those wars were started, then it lays bare the grotesqueries of human nature that is common to human nature, and all of a sudden those romantic sentiments start to dissolve away. The same kind of thing can happen in our relationships. When we initiate a new relationship with somebody, it's thrilling and intoxicating, and it's very easy to attribute all these good qualities that we're looking for to this person because of the way that they make you feel right now while things are still new. But eventually, if you stick around long enough, you'll come to know them for who they actually are. And if they're a real live human person that you're dating, then you're going to have to confront the fact that they've got issues. They're not perfect. Yeah, they might have some of those good qualities, but they've also got struggles and baggage and sometimes worse. And it's at that point that you'll have to decide whether you're going to forgive and learn to love them through that, or move on and keep looking for the person that won't disappoint you. And that can be a really painful thing to go through because you have to come to terms with the fact that this person that you had put all your hopes into, that they were just going to be the best significant other for you, is someone who doesn't actually live up to those expectations. Again, we have this tendency to want to encounter manifestations of moral goodness that we know exists, but struggle to find in this life. And so we'll project it onto people or places or ideas or even things that eventually fail to live up to those expectations. I think something like that can be said about these scandals that Catholics are experiencing as we are faced with the shocking moral failures that our spiritual leaders, our spiritual fathers, are capable of. For so many people, the church has been and continues to be a place of refuge. It's a place where we can feel safe and at peace and comfortable and healed and welcomed. In short, it's a sense of belonging to that goodness that we're all missing. In a way, that's right, because God is always present in His church. But in another way, these revelations are a reminder that the goodness that we're looking for is never fully apprehended in this life. The profound sense of shock and disappointment that we're experiencing is a reminder that we can't even look to our spiritual leaders for that goodness. I think many of us are asking God why this kind of stuff happens. And while I don't believe that He's the cause of these things, I do believe that He allows us to experience this kind of disappointment to remind us that this good that we are seeking and grasping for is never fully found in this world. I firmly believe that this life is a pilgrimage towards that moral goodness, but it doesn't end until this life ends. And until then, we aren't supposed to settle for anything less, which is exactly what we are tempted to do every time we romanticize times and places and people and things. We're tempted to stop moving towards that goodness in favor of a false conclusion that we've actually found it, that it can be had in this life. Tragedies, Heartbreak, disappointment, scandal, and suffering are the road signs that redirect us back onto that path or spur us on when we mistakenly think we've already arrived at our destination. It reorients us back to that path, the path of pilgrimage that we were never meant to stray from or to rest on for too long. We have to rally ourselves to continue to move forward in that journey until it's at an end. Because that goodness that we are seeking is God, and nothing else will satisfy that appetite. Everything else will disappoint. Everything else is mere idle if it replaces God as our focal point. So be shocked, be saddened, be disappointed, but use that as an opportunity to get back on the path of pilgrimage, to realign yourself with what is actually true, rather than the false notions that you might have had about the church or the people in it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that, then please consider subscribing and liking, and come find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's a huge help when you do that. It helps us get these videos in front of more and more people. And a big thank you goes out to You Catholic for presenting these videos. And if you want to support the making of these videos, then please consider supporting my work as a digital media and marketing expert. My company, Holdsworth Design, specializes in branding, web and graphic design, marketing, social media, videography, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you know of a parish, a diocese, a ministry, or a business that needs help in those areas, then please send them our way, and I'm sure we can help them out.